Hey everyone, welcome back. I hope you're all doing well. Unfortunately, I had a bit of a technical mishap. My camera wasn't writing to the memory card for some reason, and I've actually lost a little bit of footage. So I'm going to give you a little update here just to catch you up on where I'm up to. First thing I tried to do was take this bolt loose here on the camshaft. The next thing you should do, and I know you saw in a previous video that I'd already done this, I shouldn't have done, you should do it at this stage, is down at the bottom there, you take the 5 bolts out of the harmonic balancer and it should then come away. What happened here is, for some reason, the inner sprocket that the timing belt runs on is actually fused to the harmonic balancer. I'll show you here. You see they're stuck together. This should have actually remained in the engine, so I actually had a bit of a struggle working that off with the timing belt still tensioned, but I'm going to have some fun trying to separate those and see why it is that happened, if I can figure that out. So, after you've got your harmonic balancer off, the next thing to do is to take off this lower timing belt cover. I believe there are 3 10mm bolts holding that on. May actually only be 2, I'll tell you in a second. Get to that. I recommend you actually take the bottom bolt off first. It was a bit more of a struggle than the first 2. That's the cover that comes off, and it was 3 10mm bolts. At this point, assuming your sprocket stays where it's supposed to, you should undo the nut on the timing belt tension. The belt will come loose, but as you can see, the belt's loose already, so come off. Try and get this on camera. Yeah, belt's not in bad shape. That oil has just got on it now. I've been trying to remove it. Can't see any. Missing teeth. It's just, I think it's just starting to crack in there a little bit. As I say, it's far from the worst belt I've ever seen, but absolutely no idea how old it is, so I'm going to play it safe and replace it. Okay. Next thing I want to do is I'm going to take that tensioner loose. I think I'm going to need it's either a 12 or a 13 from the looks of it. Yep, it's 13. There we go. Tensioner loose. There we go. That's still in pretty good shape. This is the point at which your timing belt should come loose, and if you were unable to get the locking tool in the camshaft earlier on, as I showed you, now's the time you use your counter hold. You have to do that back up just a little bit and use your counter hold to just twist the camshaft slightly to get that locking tool in, and then that puts your valve timing where it's supposed to be. The next part is actually take this loose all together. And then that will allow access to remove the rear timing cover, which is necessary for two reasons. One, to change the water pump, and secondly, I also want to inspect and almost certainly replace the crankshaft seal on this end of the engine. There's a good bit of oil down there. When you look around here, I think there's 1, 2, 3, 4, and possibly 5 bolts holding that on. Look to be a nice mixture of sizes. Right, I'll start with that lower one down there. I think that's a 13. I'll give it a try. Yep. Starting to wish I bought a car with a chain-driven engine. Wouldn't be as much fun, would it? Nope. If I ever have the money one day, a good set of air tools is going to be a present to myself. Hey, there we go. There we go. Right. You can see it's there. The lower part of it. Excuse the traffic. Oh, grease and oil everywhere. I think it sits in the car sort of in that sort of configuration. You've got, starting at the top up here, there's 2 bolts, a 13 and a 10 there. You can just see there, that's the aperture where you can tap through to release the sprocket. And there's bolt there, bolt there, bolt there, 2 bolts there, and I think that one is for this cover, and then as you can see, that one, and that one are the 3 bolts for the lower outer cover, and then that and that, the space where the upper outer cover clips on. It's interesting. Oh, didn't know that. turns out 2 of those bolts that I had to remove to get the cover off also are the water pump bolts. Coolant's draining out there. Move the catch pan. Right, might as well go ahead and take the 3rd bolt out of that. You could do with a deep socket for that. It looks like you install the water pump with only 1 bolt, then fit the covers with the other 2 bolts going through the cover and the pump. There you go. Bolt the 3rd. Just going to move the catch pan a little bit more. Right, here it goes. Oh. Yeah, that's the water pump out. Alright, I'll just move it out of the way again. Yeah, it's a nice puddle of pink coolant. Probably tell this is not the first time I've put a puddle of something on the floor out of the cart. So, moral of the story, have a larger catch pan ready. Genuinely baffled at this point. There's quite a lot of oil thrown around down here, but it doesn't seem to have come out of that seal.